of action figures, back with something a little bit different for today. It's been a slow couple of months for figure collecting and a very hectic couple of months for everything else. I did get the Beast Deities Broly and the old style armor Frieza Saga Vegeta, and want to do reviews for those at some point. But to get back into the swing of things, I want to put together this Charizard model kit from a company called Blokees. And if you haven't heard of Blokees, you're not alone. I was in the same boat until maybe a month or so ago. I saw on, I think it was either on the Toying Around or Toy Migos channel, Chamba, who's one of the guests on there, built one of their Psyduck model kits, and it looked really cool. Charizard is one of their larger, higher piece count kits, and it runs about $30 US. I also have put together one of the smaller kits. This is Eevee from them, and you can see it's pretty simple. It comes in about, less than 10 pieces, and at the end of it, you get a nice little, somewhat posable, not super articulated, but more than the static little figurines that these smaller Pokemon usually get relegated to. And this one, it took all of 5 minutes to snap together, and these are very inexpensive, which is pretty cool. I think they're like $5 to $10 a piece. I saw a few comparisons pop up between this Charizard and the old Figuarts or D-Arts Charizard figure, which has gone way up in price. I don't see Pokemon license coming back around from Bandai anytime soon. And this one looked like it held up pretty well. I'm curious to see how much it feels like a model kit versus an action figure. So I'll be going into that as we put it together. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the box. So first off, this is an officially licensed Pokemon product. So we have the Pokemon brand logo and this holographic authenticity sticker in the lower right corner. I'm just not sure they have the license to sell these in the US, which is probably why you've got to go through AliExpress. And it's also probably why they didn't bother printing much in English. In the lower left, Blokees figures. This is number 6. There's a number 6, but I think this is referring to the Pokédex index and not the number of the model kit in this line. If we look at the old Pokemon card, you can see Charizard is number 6, in fact. On the left side, you can see the other larger scale kits that are available are numbered 658, 908, and 937. I could not tell you who these three are. I really only know generations 1 and 2. On the bottom, we have all kinds of little warnings. I don't know exactly what the age rating is for this, so you'll probably have to do some translations. It definitely says not for children 0 to 3, and I'm assuming since it's a model kit, it's probably got some small parts. Some more photos of the figure. I'm not sure if it includes all of these flame effects. I think I saw the fireball at least is included. I'm not sure about all this. It'd be pretty cool if it is. Around the back, it looks like he has at least 2 fireballs. And yeah, it just shows off some of the poses you can get him into. I like this flight pose. That looks pretty natural. Yeah, I don't know about this base with the flames coming out. Sculpt looks really great. Let's go ahead and definitely got a little smashed. Luckily, it's pretty clean on the front, so that's nice at least. Okay, and looks like I can open him from the bottom. No tape, so just gonna carefully feed the blade under the flap, push toward the back of the box and up. And it looks like we have a big tray for some of the bigger parts. The head, the wings, the arms, the tail, the feet, the fire spin, aside. Oh, okay. That's pretty sick. We do get all these flame pieces. Nice. I've been really debating if I want to get some of those like Tamashii flame effects, but the regular flame colored ones are always selling out and they're like $50, so this is sweet. I like that a lot. They come with a base and a little card, some bigger body parts and legs, along with those really cool flame effects for the base, some desiccants, and a collection of ball joints, armatures for the base. Finally, the all-important instruction booklet. Let's take a look how many steps we're getting ourselves into, how many parts we've got to put together. Caution, something. Okay, altogether, I mean, this looks like less than 10 steps, so definitely more of a YOLO Park Transformers kind of kit. Crinkling ensues, and we're gonna just... let's get these flame effects aside. These look awesome. That's such a pleasant surprise. I was totally just expecting it to be like these. Yeah, those are sold separately. But $30 and you get a whole Charizard figure and 4 like ground flame effects. They do have these pegs on the bottom to go into the base, but I'm thinking if you don't want to use them with the base, I mean, you could always snip those off, or I don't know, just use some tack on the bottom to make it stand, because it looks like it won't stand on its own. But these would be great for anything. I've had the SHF Gabimaru for the longest time and always wanted to get some fire effects for him. Oh yeah, this feels really nice quality plastic. Definitely feeling like more action figure plastic, softer PVC. Honestly, it's not dissimilar to, this is the D-Arts Mewtwo, which was the like gaming oriented side of Figuarts before they eventually just merged the two and reissued this guy as a Figuarts. So we're definitely going to do some size and weight comparisons with him. I'll let you know if they feel radically different. All right, so step 1, we're going to go ahead and connect the neck, head on the neck. Comes with a ball peg already loaded in there. And holy cow, huge ball hinge neck. So, I mean, really no problem looking up. Plenty of range of motion. Step 2, we're going to be attaching the left and right arms. This looks like the left arm though, just based on the orientation of that hinge. It's definitely bending more that way. Yeah, there's really no L or R to distinguish it. Whenever you're pushing a shoulder joint into a torso, I usually try to do it in a T-pose. This does have some kind of like butterfly cap in there, so I want to be mindful of that. And that gives a little snap. It's working pretty well. The hands appear to be identical on each side. Yeah, the instructions just say there's this part times 2, which means they are identical. Whereas the arms, you can see they're times 1 times 1. The hands and feet are times 2 each. I have a little bit of a white paint dot on the back of one of these hands. There's a very nice matte finish over the whole across the figure. That's another thing about the Jazzwares line is they're pretty unfinished, bare, glossy plastic, and this is very nice matte finished plastic. And you can compare the difference if you look at the ball hinge for the neck, or the ball pegs for the legs, or the elbows. This is a common thing with import figures, is they will use a harder plastic for the joints and softer plastics for the surrounding parts, and that's how they get such a smooth range of motion in those joints. Okay, stop playing. Let's get the rest of them together. Step 3, connect the legs and the feet. These ones are obvious which side they go on, just based on the orientation of the cut. Again, you can see the harder plastic on the inside, but nice matte finish, softer plastic on the outside. Yeah, this feels really good. All right. The feet are the same. Does not matter which side is which. Got a little Pokémon branding under the crotch. Guess you got to put it somewhere. Step 4, the wings. They just have a ball hinge that's going to go into the sockets on his back, and I love this. This was something I was always a little bit jealous the Figuarts could do, but the Jazzwares couldn't, is swivel the wings around. So get bi-directional movement on the ball hinge there, and some folding articulation in the center of the wing, and that is so good. I just realized something. Remember when I couldn't tell which arm was left and which was right? It's actually labeled on the tray. So this was where the left arm was, and this was where the right arm was, and you can see there's an L and an R. Okay? Let's go ahead and attach the other wing. Right. And last but not least, we've got to connect the tail, and that's where all of our ball joints are going to come into play. Spill everything out at once. Let's get the armature pieces aside for now. We have 4 equal length and diameter dumbbell joints, and then one with a larger ball on one end and smaller on the other. Looking at the instructions, I think the special one with the smaller dumbbell goes between the last 2 tail segments, and then the flame just goes onto a ball. It's molded onto the tip of the last segment. The front, and this is the back for this piece, and the numbering is in the back. It looks like the front is more rounded to kind of fit into a socket and articulate, while the back is more flat. Another one here, the printing is in the back. Let's go ahead and snap. Here's the final segment. This is the largest one that goes into the body. Printing goes towards the back. Plugging into the socket on the body, which is at a bit of a weird angle. It's very steeply angled up. Let's go ahead and just pre-tilt that ball down, and that will let us... There we go. All right, one of these is a fireball, and one of them is a tail candle, and I think this one is the tail candle. So let's go ahead. Yeah, it's got a socket on the bottom, whereas the other has a socket on the side. And there we got it. Oh man. Pretty easy. Less than 30 minutes, and that was with me talking you through it, so I'm sure you could do it probably in just a few minutes if you're really motivated. Looks gorgeous. Final step, he comes with a display base with this sort of like molten lava sticker that you can put over it. I am not going to do that on camera. I have enough trouble lining these up as it is, but I will show you how the display base parts go together. Here's our little card, I guess. I don't know if you could stick this somewhere. I don't know, you can just set it in front of it. Let's go ahead and put these papery bits aside. All right, and lots of different holes to plug things into. What things exactly? Well, we have a couple of these arms. Oh, let's get our fire spin out. That's pretty cool. That looks like some kind of kanji, but could not tell you what it is. And it does have a peg hole at the bottom, similar to the Fireball. There's definitely one hole that's large enough to fit this arm, one of the parts with a peg. Okay, snap together. It's these pegs on the ends of the hinges that will plug into any one of these holes in the base. So you can use that to position your effect however you want. So for example, that just goes into the base. There we go. Oh man. They gave him an articulated tongue. That's awesome. It's about as wide as it will open. We want the tongue. See if we can get him posed kind of like this. Yeah, you get the idea. Let's go ahead and do some size and weight comparisons. For size comparison, you can see pretty much exactly the same height as the D-Arts Mewtwo. That works great. Here is Blokees Eevee. And just to see how Blokees' smaller scale fits in with like your Jazzwares, there's Charmander. So really, really good. The Jazzwares Espeon. The Shoto Alakazam. Little on the small side for this Charizard. I'd love to see Blokees tackle more of the Gen 1 Pokemon. I think the rest of the Kanto starters are safe bets. SHF Goku and Gohan. SHF Full Power Frieza. And the SHF Super Boo. And just to give you a sense, Charizard is 183 grams. So compare that to our Figuarts Mewtwo here. It's all on the scale. 96 grams. This is the Shoto Alakazam. Shoto is more of a like 3 to 4 inch scale line, so a much smaller figure than the Blokees and Figuarts, which is going for more of a 6 inch or 1/12 scale. This Alakazam is more what you would expect when you hear model kit. It's made of very hard plastic throughout, and as a result, it feels pretty light and delicate, and it has that harder plastic shine. He comes in at 15 grams. Compare that to this Jazzwares Battle Action Charmander. This is one of their little pre-posed figurines, and I think these are made of PVC, but the Charmander's 14 grams. All right, here is the Blokees Eevee, just 8 grams. Young Gohan from the 2024 exclusive set, 18 grams. My favorite Eevee Evolution Espeon, 34 grams. Pretty standard 2.0 Goku from Figuarts here, 72 grams. Full Power Frieza, quite a chunky boy, 83 grams. Super Boo, an even chunkier boy, 182 grams. And this is a very solid, sturdy, hefty feeling figure. So if you have Super Boo, 1 gram less than Charizard, that gives you a pretty good idea what to expect in terms of hand feel. Charizard's articulation is simple, but smooth, fluid, and effective. So let's go ahead and run through it top to bottom. Starting at the head, big hinge between the head and the neck, which gives him a huge range of motion. Really good for flight pose. Huge range of motion looking up, which is really important for a flight pose. I don't think this is meant to be any kind of swivel. For that, there's 2 more ball joints between the other segments of the neck, and those give you kind of the side-to-side pivot, the rotation. That's also where most of the downward head range comes from. His mouth can close and open to about there, which is really good. And the tongue is on a hinge. The shoulders are ball hinges. There's not exactly a butterfly, it's more of kind of a deep ball joint with a cap past 90 degrees. They go all the way down to his side pretty much if you get the leg out of the way. They swivel all the way around, just a little bit of range across the front of his chest. And you do get that pivot point in there for just subtle positioning of the shoulders. No bicep cut, which I think is a good choice for these small arms. And you get a swivel single hinge joint for the elbows that get just shy of 90 degrees. I think they could have rounded this cut just a little bit more to squeeze out a full 90 degrees, but that's pretty good. You don't do a whole lot with Charizard's arms anyways. And then the wrists are just single ball peg joints, and this is one point on the figure that I do find can disconnect a little bit easily, but it's not too bad, and they get pretty decent range. And the other nice thing about this being a model kit, it's pretty easy to pop apart and show you the inner assembly. The legs are just on a big ball joint. It pivots all the way around just like that. Doesn't exactly do the splits in the traditional sense, but he can kick out to the sides about that much. Forward, I mean, you can get him in a sitting position. It's a little bit weird of a form factor to try kind of like traditional leg movements, but knees, they seem to be either a hinge or a ball joint, but that was one of the pieces that came pre-assembled, and they only move in one direction really. The wings are quite nice. They're on ball hinges going into his back. What's nice about that is the ball peg provides a nice pivot point to kind of bring the wings forward so that they're kind of wrapped around his body, which you sometimes see. If you do that, it gives the hinges a little more clearance so that you can really bring the wings back for a nice in-flight look. Moving on the ball, and then moving on the hinge. Pretty cool. And of course, you can see the wings also have hinges in the center, and they collapse to about there. And they can open past the point where they are straight. Pretty much just like the Figuarts Charizard, you can also rotate them on the ball, which gives you all kinds of options now. More aggressive kind of battle pose, or a more streamlined flight pose. And that's really, really good. Yeah, I like the way these wings work. Finally, the tail. You saw when we were putting it together, it's just a bunch of dumbbell joints between 5 segments, and then a single ball joint at the end. You can bring it up to about there. And it does hold that spot pretty well for now, at least. We'll see over time, I guess. You can pose it down to about there, and then I think if you were doing a flight pose, you'd probably want to give him like a wave shape like that. And he hits it really, really nicely. And you can also pose the tail side to side. As far as getting into like an S-curve shape, it's a little bit limited in that respect. Just given the segments, if you push it more than this, it's going to start popping apart. Quick segment for my Dragon Ball collectors, talking about tails. I've seen some people say they want kind of a segmented ball joint tail like this for like Frieza characters, but you're never going to get as tight of an S-curve with this style of tail. That's about as tight as it gets for Charizard, And even if you break it up into tons of tiny segments like Mewtwo, you still can't get it to curve any tighter than that, really. And it gets to a point where it just can't support its own weight, and not as cool and posable as you want it to be. I mean, Mewtwo is most often drawn with like a really tight S-curve tail, and you kind of have to fake it. So while the like ball hinge 2 or 3 segment tail isn't ideal either, it at least is a little bit more versatile than if it was all just segmented into ball joints. Plus, I think this would not look very good for a Frieza tail. Add to that the fact that you really can't pose it, so I don't really know what the right answer is. I definitely don't want bendy wire tails. I don't like the way they feel. They also can be like overly rigid. And this looks pretty good. Like if you just have Cooler with his tail resting on the ground, yeah, it looks a little weird right here, but you know, like that's just kind of action figures, right? Maybe like one tail like this, and then one that's pre-posed in a specific shape, like maybe one that's just arcing in a long curve, like a tail whip sort of attack. That's my tangent about tails. So what's the verdict? Do I recommend the Blokees Charizard? Absolutely. This is one of the most exciting surprise treats of the year for me. The value and quality here are just incredible. I missed the SHF and D-Arts Pokemon figures, and that Charizard has been one of my grails for the longest time, but this has just totally knocked it off my list. Points of articulation and range of motion are all there. It's buttery smooth, it feels really high quality, and the flame effects that you get are just so versatile and really well sculpted. Yeah, to be honest, I feel no need to backtrack and pay the pretty egregious aftermarket, and I'll be watching Blokees' Pokemon line with great interest. This has been the Art of Action Figures, looking at the Blokees Charizard. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.